Is it over yet? Ah. What about now? Ah. You know what? I'm done. I'm done. I'm selling. I'm out. I'm out. I'm selling all my crypto right now.
Yes,
Modano, it's happening.
he sold. Pump it.
Welcome, everyone, to this August 15th edition of What's Happening in Crypto with the Crypto Lark, broadcasting to you from New Zealand and bringing you all of the latest from the crypto world and beyond. Today's top stories: old men shaking their canes at Bitcoin once again, Bitcoin retirement funds, and high times in Playboy are in the crypto news again, but this time it is not for a happy ending. Bitcoin $6,282, up 4.3% in the last 24 hours. In fact, there is a lot of green happening right now in the market. That is not to say that we are at the start of a major bull run or anything like that, but it is nice to see a little bit of green recovery happening in the market after some really serious downward movements. And for a lot of the altcoins that are getting crushed right now, it is a great opportunity for dollar cost averaging in. It is a great opportunity for picking up some real bargains that may have some great opportunities on that next bull run. But of course, this does not mean we are at the bottom, although it seems like there is a lot of seller fatigue happening. So we may be getting close to that point of final capitulation. On to our first big story of the day. Bitcoin is useless as a payment mechanism and ridiculous as a store of value, says the ex-PayPal CEO. Now, I watched this interview, and it's another typical example of people that are either intellectually dishonest or are actually ignorant of the facts. And yet they get invited on TV to give their opinion about something they either don't understand or are lying about. And in Bill Harris's case, it could be a situation of both. It's hard to say. He says the cult of Bitcoin makes many claims that it's instant, free, scalable, efficient, secure, globally accepted, and useful. He says it is none of those things. Now, the guys on CNBC Fast Money did hit back quite well. It was quite an interesting exchange there for a few minutes, but he is wrong on so many levels. It's actually hard to deal with, of course. He has moved on from PayPal and he now has this, personalcapital.com, helping people achieve net worth, planning your future, analyzing your portfolio, free financial tools. He is, of course, selling what Bitcoin is not selling. So for him, Bitcoin is a direct threat to his personal business model as it does not fit his narrative. And of course, just something that I feel like he may not fully understand, or if he does understand it again, he's lying on TV to try and get people scared again. Once again, guys. Over on Mad Money, host Jim Cramer argues that the tide is turning against Bitcoin. I love how these people always slither out from under their rocks when the markets are going down. I think the tide has turned against it. I'm not saying its time has passed, but there is a notion that the sun seems to be setting. God, how many times have we heard this? It's just, it gets to the point where it's like, guys, it's just quit beating the same old drum. What are you doing? Now, his guest went on to say that Bitcoin is the requirement of most of these hackers, in particular reference to ransomware, and many companies choose to buy Bitcoin in some state or fashion and pay them off. Basically saying that the only use case for Bitcoin is to pay ransomware hackers. What reality do these guys live in? It's absolutely crazy. Now, obviously, that is one of many possible use cases for Bitcoin. And yes, it's very easy to point to the bad things that Bitcoin does, whether it be ransomware or paying for human trafficking, buying drugs, money laundering, financing terrorism. Yeah, all that stuff happens in Bitcoin, guys. All that stuff also happens with dollars and euros and everything else. You got to keep it real. Money is money. And Bitcoin is a medium of exchange. And it's actually a very utilitarian medium of exchange. So, of course, the criminal elements will see the utility in that, just like everyone else does, except unless you're this Kramer dude or the ex-PayPal CEO. Anyway, Bitcoin falls through $6,000 support as the Zappo president warns of an altcoin extinction event. That's some pretty serious words there, an altcoin extinction event. And to be honest, that is going to happen to a lot of altcoins. We currently have, 1,600 just listed on CoinMarketCap. That doesn't even represent all the digital assets that are out there. There are lots that simply are not listed on CoinMarketCap or are listed on other market cap websites. There will be a lot of these that do not make it. Now, he's calling for a 90% call in altcoins. That's interesting. So that we'd only have 160, for example, left on CoinMarketCap. Well, if that were the case, maybe. I'm not sure it's going to be 90% because there's really two camps when it comes down to it. There's the camp that looks at it and says, we're going to see a future where everything is tokenized and you have tokens for everything. And there's another camp that are more maximalists when it comes to you really don't need anything past Bitcoin. And there's a lot of conversation in the middle of those 2 points about where we're going to end on how many altcoins there will be. But the reality is that a lot of altcoins have already failed. If you go down to some of the sub $1 million market cap coins, those aren't going to come back. Those aren't going to have a bright future, most of them. And some of them will. And some of them will. There is a few out there that might do very, very well moving forward. They've just been wrecked by the market. They came out at the wrong time, whatever it might be. But most of these will not last the test of time. But that's part of the process. That's part of the experimentation. It's trying new things, seeing what works and what doesn't work. And there'll be plenty of things that don't work. But there will also be some that really do work. Again, if you look at that parallel with the .com bubble, lots of ideas didn't work, but lots of ideas did. And those became some of the biggest companies in the world. If you would like a more measured view on basically Bitcoin, go ahead and have this watch of a short interview with Meltem Demirors talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's value will come in time, even if investors are spooked now. Wholeheartedly agree. We are at a time of maximum fear and panic, and people are capitulating, and it's really rough, and it's an emotional journey that people go through when investing, and the crypto markets are particularly brutal. This kind of message is important. Bitcoin does have a strong value, and that value will be fully recognized by the markets at some point in the future. Because a $6,000 Bitcoin is like a screaming steal. And if it's $5,000, great. If it's $4,000, great. Those are all great prices to get into Bitcoin at. And moving forward into the future, the potential for Bitcoin to become a global currency, not to say it's going to be the global currency, but a global currency on a truly mass adopted level, it's very interesting to see where the price of Bitcoin will come at that stage. Despite its 70% price drop, Bitcoin has surpassed gold in settlement volume. Now look, obviously, when it comes to gold, gold is not being used massively for settlements, but that is an interesting milestone for Bitcoin to pass over. Our good friends over at the SEC just watching out for your good well-being. You got to keep that in mind. They wouldn't want you to go ahead and get rich now, would they? Retiring on Bitcoin, the SEC says, no, be careful of those cryptocurrency IRAs. Apparently, though, Venezuela has not got that message. Venezuela to peg their pension salary systems to the petro cryptocurrency. Fascinating idea. Of course, the petro cryptocurrency being linked to the country's oil reserves, which I do not feel like that is a good long-term strategy, Venezuela, considering the move globally towards renewable energy. Playboy files fraud lawsuit against a blockchain startup. Now, according to the lawsuit filed in early August, Playboy and Global Blockchain Technologies signed an MOU in March stating that GBT would help Playboy integrate the Vice industry token onto its platform. Playboy planned to use the token to reward its audience for watching videos, writing comments, and voting on content. However, unfortunately, that situation did not quite move forward in the way that Playboy wanted it to. And of course, a lawsuit is the resulting situation. Now, it is unfortunate because Playboy is a big publication. Having them on the blockchain train would have been valuable to some degree, without a doubt. High Times will not accept Bitcoin in its initial public offering. This is such a High Times story. I seriously feel like they were just sitting around the room and somebody's like, oh, bro, you know what's going to be cool, man? We're going to take Bitcoin for our IPO, man. Oh, dude. I don't know. But it's not going to happen. They will not be accepting Bitcoin or Ethereum for their initial public offering for the stocks. This would have been a very interesting first, and it would have been really cool to see High Times being the one to do that. But they are now backtracking on those statements. However, over in Jamaica, stock exchange plans to offer cryptocurrency trading. Very cool to see more and more nations all of the time getting involved in cryptocurrency, offering those options to people. The more it grows, the more customers there are, the more likely there are for price potential in the future. And the Caribbean Central Bank explores issuing its own digital coin, particularly the Central Bank of Curacao and St. Martin, looking at issuing out their own digital currency. We have seen a few small island nations doing this already. To see a few more hopping on board, I would not be surprised. In terms of central bank issued crypto assets and cryptocurrencies, not a fan personally, but they are coming and they are going to be part of that ecosystem moving forward. And a final announcement for today, make sure you go ahead and check out our latest episode of Token Tank, sitting down with Blockchain Brad, Crypto Zombie, and Crypto Candor, interviewing Rong Chen from Elastos. Really great chat, answering some of the key questions that the community has about Elastos at this time. Thanks so much for watching today's episode. Let me know what you think about any of today's news stories down below in the comment section. Thumbs up the video and share these videos around the internet to help our community grow. Join the conversation over on Twitter or Telegram. Long live the blockchain, and peace out till next time.